Hey, yeah folks, this is Shandron here, and today we're going to be taking a look at my build for Wyll, a build that attempts to make him into the best blade of the frontier, specifically, rather than just any old Warlock that he can be. So, we want to have him focus on melee, and we want him dealing a lot of damage, of course. Then we still have all of the Warlock stuff for when that kind of stuff is needed, picking up the situationally very useful stuff. And the build goes like this. For the first level, we are picking Warlock, because Wyll. We are taking Eldritch Blast and Blade Ward. Eldritch Blast is awesome, and Blade Ward, I really like having this available on anything that goes into melee. If you have it in a nice position, you can often tank with any character as long as you have Blade Ward available. For subclass, we're going with the Fiend. This is just too integral a part of Wyll that I would even consider changing it. And for spells, we have Expeditious Retreat and Hex. You can go with Protection from Evil and Good in the beginning here instead of Expeditious Retreat. Then you have it available for the tutorial, which can be nice. Casting it on the Illithims is nice. For our ability scores, we have Dexterity 16, Strength 8, Constitution 14, Intelligence 12, Wisdom 8, and Charisma 16. His background, Folk Hero, is not amazing, especially not like this, but later on we can respec him into having lower dex when he gets access to better armor, and give him a little bit of wisdom to actually make use of those. For now, we have Nature and Intimidation. I have Intimidation here because my face doesn't have Intimidation, and once in a while you do want to have that skill available. If you want to be using Wyll as your face, you should still only choose Intimidation, and you would pick up the other ones by one of his invocations at next level. Straight in to level 2 here, we get the choice of a single spell. I would suggest now going for Protection from Evil. You would prefer to have this at level 3 if possible. That's when I would suggest you go for Entails at that fight, and having as many Protection from Evil at that point is quite nice. For the invocations, Agonizing Blast is too good, so pick that up. And I'd say take Fiendish Vigor. This, especially early on, 7 extra temporary hit points that you can spam out of combat, is very nice. It allows you to ignore basically any surface, and it's also 7 extra hit points when they are squishy in the beginning is quite nice, to be honest. For spells, we don't want to replace anything at the moment, so let's just get on with it to level 3. We are still just going Warlock. The first 5 levels of this build, and the only 5 levels we're going to be using here, or showcasing here, are just straight up Warlock levels. We are taking the following spells. Scorching Ray. This is very good at level 3 for the amount of damage it deals at range. And Pact of the Blade is the other one. We want to be going for a melee build, so of course we're taking Pact of the Blade. For spells, replace Expeditious Retreat and pick up Cloud of Daggers to have one area of effects spell available. That's quite strong at level 3 as well. For level 4, now we should have handled Entails, and we don't really need the Protection from Evil anymore, so we can go straight back and change Protection from Evil out and put back in, let's see, where's it at? Expeditious Retreat, so we still have this because we actually want it. For cantrips, we are picking up Mage Hand. If you don't have anyone casting Minor Illusion, you should pick up Minor Illusion instead, but I prefer to having it on Shadowheart rather than, for the build I'm doing on her, rather than having it on Wyll here. For spells, now, we are choosing Ray of Enfeeblement. Having this as an option, you very rarely use it, but if you're fighting something very big and strong, this effectively halves their damage, which is amazing. And it even stacks with Blade Ward, so you can use it on them, and then you can Blade Ward yourself to take 1/4 of their damage. And certain monsters you're fighting, bosses, stuff like that. For feats, you have 2 options. You can go with the simple one, Ability Improvement into Charisma, for a little extra bonus to attack and to your spell save DCs and to the damage with your weapon and stuff like that from Pact of the Blade. That might be the all-round best, maybe, but the more interesting, and I'd argue the better one, especially if you want to be going melee here, is Great Weapon Master. The Great Weapon Master gives us some interesting abilities. When you land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon attack, you can make another melee weapon attack as a bonus action that turn. This is quite strong. Combined with this class feature here, you can toggle this one on and off, -5 to attack, +10 to damage. And you should probably have this toggled off for most situations and on for certain situations. That depends sort of exactly how you're fighting, what level and stuff like that. If you can engineer situations, we'll talk about that a little bit later, where you have advantage. It's a very nice thing to have this option to turn it on for extra +10 damage. extra bonuses to hit. That's also going to be great at that point. For level 5, one more level of Warlock. Now we get the extra attack here. Deepen Pact. Extra attack with their pact weapon. We get to choose a spell. We're choosing Fireball. This is a strong area of effect ability. And for our Eldritch Invocation, we are going for Devil's Sight. Wyll does not have the ability to see in darkness, and you want that on all of your characters. If you're using him as your face, you should pick up Beguiling Influence. You actually should probably have picked this up earlier instead of one of the other ones, and then you could take the other one off them now. Devil's Sight is useful, but you can't just use, you can find a ring down in the Underdark shortly after this point in the game, where you can pick that up instead. Now, replacing spell here, I'd go back in and then I would replace my Cloud of Daggers, because now we have a arguably better AoE effect, the Fireball. I really like Cloud of Daggers, so it's going to be close in my mind, but Fireball is awesome, and it fits Wyll very nicely. And then we're going to pick up Counterspell. Having the option to Counterspell if the enemy is casting haste or something incredible like that is amazingly powerful. So just having this available is good. Also because we are using most of his actions to attack and most of his bonus actions hopefully to attack, but otherwise we have a couple of bonus action spells so we can dash around or stuff like that. Good. That should be it for the build. For items, first let's take a look at our gloves. The gloves of the Growling Underdog. These are kind of what makes the build work at most of the time. The wearer gains advantage in melee attack rolls while surrounded by 2 or more foes. With Great Weapon Master, advantage is really good because it allows you to turn the extra hit percent into more damage instead. And don't forget that you can go into passives, turn down toggle non-lethal attacks, and you will knock out enemies instead of killing them, leaving their bodies around, which counts for you being surrounded. Next item, Haste Helm. At the start of combat, the wearer gains momentum for 3 turns. This allows you to get into combat, combined with Springstep Boots. When the wearer dashes or takes a similar action during combat, they gain momentum for 3 turns. If you have better boots, you can easily equip those. There are some nice ones in the Underdark later on. Moondrop Pendant. Writhing Dance. When the wearer has 50% hit points or less, they don't provoke attacks of opportunity. And lastly, Crush's Ring for movement speed, plus 10 feet. For armor, we have the Robe of the Summer. Any non-armor armor is great, any clothing. This one looks awesome, and the resistance to cold damage is actually kind of sweet, even if it doesn't do that much. For weapons, you have a couple of different options. One of them that I'm especially happy about is this very heavy Great Axe. It's a +1 Great Axe, but it also has access to this Gargantuan Cleave effect, which is really powerful. It's a cleave that doesn't halve your damage, and even adds in a little extra. And if you combine it with the fact that you want to be in combat with 2 or more enemies anyways, due to your gloves, and for advantage, this is going to be a lot of damage on a single action. It's only once per short rest, so once it's used, just switch it out. You can go for instance, Sword of Justice, which is also has a once per short rest ability. This is Tears Protection, +2 armor class, but it's a concentration ability, and it lasts until your concentration breaks, basically, or until long rest. You can use this, throw it on Wyll himself to get a little extra defensiveness, or on your tank in order to up him or something like that. Save a spell slot from your priest and your concentration, very importantly. Just remember that you can't hex or Ray of Enfeeblement or even the Expeditious Retreat while it's going. There are more options for your weapons. If you've been to the Githyanki place, you can pick up the Githyanki Greatsword. This is probably the best option, but in order to turn on the extra ability, you have to use the Mask of the Shapeshifter, change into Githyanki, and then I believe you actually have to unequip, and where did it go? There, re-equip the weapon, in order to get the extra plus 1d4 psychic damage, because now he actually counts as a Githyanki. You can even unequip the mask afterwards, put back on the Haste Helm. You will still count as a Githyanki at this point. Then, lastly, there is one more option, which is kind of breaking the game and a little exploity. But you can get it very straight up. All you have to do is use Command Drop on, I think he's called Commander Voss, the guy riding the dragon at the Githyanki Patrol. And you can get this Silver Sword of the Astral Plane. Once you've had the initial cutscene up there, you can just stealth up on the ledge and cast Command Drop. It has a 16% chance of working, which is roughly 1 in 6 chance. So either you can get lucky, or you can save skunk to your heart's pleasure if you want this. It does break a few conversations in the game. The only ones I've found, and according to Reddit, the only ones really there are if you talk with Lae'zel. After this, you will have some conversation options that are only supposed to be available in Act 3, when you are supposed to get this weapon. I believe. I haven't played to Act 3 myself. But according to Reddit, that's the only thing that's gonna break. So you can pick it up if you want. It's obviously going to be very powerful. You can just leave it out and stay with the ordinary Githyanki greatsword and your other nice options. So, great. That should be my build for Wyll. Thank you for joining. If you have been, I've been Chandran, and you've most definitely been awesome. Don't forget to do the YouTube stuff, and bye-bye.